and welcome back to another episode of the Employee to Boss podcast. I am your host, Hayleigh Hayhurst, the owner of Espresso Podcast Production, a full-service podcast agency specializing in editing, marketing, and strategy. I am so excited to be coming to you with a solo episode today. It is 4th of July, so happy holiday. I hope everyone is having a great, safe, fun time. I am currently watching out my window. I have like a view of the Lake Union if you were in Seattle, and they are setting up for the fireworks that will go up tonight, which is so exciting. There's just so much, fun in Seattle and fun in the summer. And for some reason, I just feel so inspired in the summer to be recording solo episodes and be teaching people about podcasting and business and all of these things. So today I wanted to do a solo episode about how to start a podcast with a small audience or with no audience and how you can start, because I hear so many people say, oh, you can't start a podcast if you're a nobody. You have to have this audience already. And while, yes, if you do have an audience, it does make it easier, but you can grow your audience. So I'm going to go through 6 steps of how to really, like I said, start your podcast with whatever audience you have now, because you don't need 1 million followers. You don't need 10,000 followers. All you need is an idea and inspiration and perseverance, and you will be set. So let's dive right into these 6 steps. And throughout this, if you have any questions, you can contact me via email. So that is hello@espressopodcastproduction.com. You can also message me on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. And I am more than happy to help you with whatever questions you have around marketing, strategy, launching a podcast. This is what my business is. This is what I help entrepreneurs with every single day. So you will be in great hands. All right, let's dive in. So number 1 is start an Instagram or whatever platform you are going to be consistent on. If you already have a following from like a personal account, you definitely can use that and then just grow it from there. But if you are willing to start a new account, or maybe you don't want like your high school and middle school friends to be seeing what you're up to, if that's gonna like hold you back, just start a new account and we can start from scratch. That way, it's also kind of like this beautiful thing where you will be attracting the right audience. And so every single person that follows you is going to be someone who's interested in what you're posting. So we love that. We love people who are interested in the content that you're sharing. And what I say is whatever platform you feel most comfortable on. So wherever you think your audience is too. So for me, I love Instagram. I can be consistent with Instagram. Facebook, I can be a little bit consistent with. I have it, but it is there for, when I need it. LinkedIn is where a lot of my audience is. So Instagram and LinkedIn are the 2 places that I'm posting the most. Now, depending on what type of podcast you have, TikTok is an amazing, amazing growth source for you, as well as Twitter. There's so much going on with Twitter, but whatever platform is your favorite, that you feel most confident with and that you'll keep up with, that is what you should be posting on. And so step 1 is start that. Obviously after or before you start your podcast. If it's before, that's great, because then you can like start posting and being like, ooh, new podcast coming. People can get excited and you can start growing early. Now, the second thing I need you to think about is when it comes to social media, what type of content are you going to be posting? So for me, and what I go through with my one-on-one clients when we talk about their marketing, is creating categories of what you're going to be posting. So for me, I am educating people on podcasts. I am entertaining them with podcast stories or content from my podcast, things like that. And I'm also sharing a little bit about myself, but mainly tips on podcasting. They're coming to me because I'm the expert who can get them to where they want to be. So that's what they're learning, right? If you are starting a podcast about, let's say you are a life coach, you will be posting things that are relevant to that. So make sure that you are thinking about what you're going to be posting so it's all on brand and relevant, rather than just getting excited and posting only selfies of yourself. Or my biggest pet peeve is when podcasters only post new episode live and that's it. They don't post graphics, they don't post audiograms, they're not posting anything other than that. With a podcast, people who are investing this time to listen are going to want to learn more about you, which is why a social media presence is so important. So make sure that you're thinking about what you're going to post and making sure that you're entertaining them throughout the journey and that they're learning more from you than just your podcast. If you're doing 30-minute episodes and hour-long episodes, there's so many types of content that you can create just from that. So be sure to be repurposing this. There's so much I can dive into with the content creation, but that is what I would start doing right off the bat from when you start your podcast and start your social media for your podcast, because it's so, so important. If you don't have a strategy and you don't have a vision, it's going to be really, really hard to grow and attract the right audience. The next thing is to start posting, but making sure that, like, we talked about what type of content you're going to be creating, but let's talk about how to actually reach the right audience. So hashtags on Instagram are not as important these days as they were at the start of Instagram. The things they used to be able to do at the start of Instagram were like crazy, right? You could hashtag something and so many people would find your page. That's not so much the case anymore. Now, Instagram is really promoting reels and videos, and especially if you're on like TikTok or whatever it may be, videos are going to be key, but also are keywords. So do a little bit of research on SEO in your category, but also think about like what keywords would your audience be searching. So for me, it'll be podcast tips or how to start a podcast or podcast launch. Things like that are what my audience is like trying to learn about. So think about your audience and what keywords they are using. The next is be consistent. Be consistent with your posting on social media. Be consistent with your posting on your podcast. Do not get discouraged when maybe you're not getting 100,000 downloads or even 1,000 downloads per episode, when you're getting started. It is normal. You are going to maybe start off with like 10 people listening, and then you'll keep posting, and then you'll grow, and people will be sharing your content to their Instagram stories or on different platforms, and they'll be like, "Ooh, have you heard of this podcast?" It's really word of mouth. So that's really like the consistency part is the most important when you are starting. Because like I said, we're talking about you don't have an audience yet. You don't want to be forgotten when you take time off from posting. So be sure you always have something on your stories. Make sure you always have new content. New content, repurpose content, whatever it be, make sure you are posting. Another platform I've started using is Pinterest for my podcast tips and repurposing a lot of my content there. And consistency is so key there. I have an assistant who is focusing on that, and the growth on there has been amazing, way past what I was expecting. And it all has to do with consistency, taking no days off from posting. So this leads me to the next step, which is batching your content. I'm sure you've heard about this. I talked about this in the last episode with Betsy O'Brien about batching your content, but let's say you get ready, you put on your hair, makeup, jewelry, you just look great, right? You will be able to batch your content then, your video content. So how I break it up is I record my video content on a day that I'm like ready to go. And I'll try to do it for 2 weeks at a time. I'll record some solo episodes. I will record my reels. I will take some photos. I'll create like some graphics from that. So that's my photo day. The next day, or whenever, the next time I need to create content comes up, it's going to be my graphics day. So I go into Canva and I just create some graphics that I know my audience will be interested in. So that could be like, what's the best podcast hosting platform, or microphones that you can use as a beginner. Things like that is going to be my graphic day. And I also write my blog post on that day as well. So really it's just 2 days that cover me for 2 weeks, and I don't have to think about it. If I go on vacation, I'm fine. I have new content. I can schedule everything out. So batch your content. It'll make your life so, so much easier. And thinking back, you already know what you're going to post because we talked about the categories of the types of content you're posting. That's why that's so important. So when it is your content creation day, you don't have to like bang your head against the wall like, oh my God, what do I post today? I am losing it. You can just go past that and just be like, I am so confident in what I'm posting. I am so confident in my strategy. I am so confident in all of this that I'm just so excited to start this podcast and grow it. Once you start seeing results, you're going to feel inspired. But in the beginning, the results may come slowly. So be prepared for that. Make sure it's something you really want to do before you really dive into it. And my last tip for you is just keep going and keep adapting to the things that are coming at you. What I mean by that is when you start your podcast, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You can always adapt. I have changed my podcast logo. I'm on my second one. Things like the music you can change, the show vibe you can change, the branding you can change. Nothing has to be perfect. And as you get more professional in the field and get more confident, you might want to outsource your editing. You can come to someone like me who can do that for you. You might want to start working with someone to grow your podcast more, like someone like me who helps you with strategy, and I can coach you on that. So keep going, keep adapting, keep growing, and just keep an open mind and make sure that you are staying on your vision and the people that you are connecting with and reaching out to and marketing to are people who are going to truly learn from you. I hope that this was helpful. Again, if you have questions, come find me on Instagram. My handle will be in the show notes of this episode. And yeah, just come connect. I love talking with all of you and hearing about your podcasts and all of the things. Podcasting is what I love, so come connect with me. I'll talk to you next time. Thank you for listening to the Employee to Boss podcast. If you made it to the end of this episode, I hope that you implement the actionable steps from this week's experts so you can get started with your business today. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the Employee to Boss podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps more than you could ever imagine. Remember, a little progress each day leads to big results. We come out with a new episode every Tuesday. To access our show notes, transcripts, and courses, please check out espressopodcastproduction.com.